Hispanics are causing panic, baby. Let's do it.
Shout out to Hispanics causing panics.
Shout out to Hispanics causing panics.
Orale raza, gfunkyboxing of ACP back. Welcome to the channel, guys. Want to do a live here and talk about a few things. Thank you to everybody who's here right now and who will be joining me. And if you don't catch this later, thanks for being here. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you know every time I go live. I don't go live too randomly like I am today, but I do go live once a week. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about Canelo and his upcoming fight with Billy Joe Saunders. I'm going to say what's up to everybody that's here. A-Rod, Nopal, Andres, Christopher Roman says, we will need to see how he fares against fighters with great footwork. He struggled with Floyd, Lara Khan. Billy Joe Saunders will give him a good test regarding his ability to cuff. I agree, man. And we're going to talk about that. DJ Mexicano de Tejas, what's up, man? Thank you for being here. So, yeah, let's talk about this thing, man. Let's talk about it. Now, here's what I want to get this out of the way real quickly, man. For those of you that are new to the channel, I'm not a fanboy, okay? I'm just not a fanboy. I never have been since I've been on YouTube, and never will be. Was I one before as a teenager? Absolutely. Yes, I was. Saludos, maestro. But look, here's the thing, man. I'm not going to just make assumptions about fighters or fighters that I like. Now, I do like Canelo. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a hell of a fighter. I love what he's doing right now. He's going for undisputed. That's what I like. I like fighters to go in there and try to clean out the division. And he's actually doing that at 168, a division that nobody was trying to unify for years. And nobody gave a fuck about the division until he came in there. And all of a sudden, everybody's got a problem with who's there and who's got a belt. But that's a different story. But anyway, my thing is this with Canelo, okay? And I've said this about him. Yeah, sure, no problem. A-Rod, just let me cook for a minute, and then I'll go ahead and send you a link, man. No sweat. Let me just get my email up here while I talk. But I've said this about Canelo pretty much in every single video that I made about him, whether it be a post-fight video or a prediction video, because you guys know in my prediction videos, I go over the strengths and the weaknesses of both fighters. Like, I don't just come on and get on my knees and say how much I love this guy or that guy and what they do. No, every fighter has a weakness. Every fighter has a strength. And I go over that. You know what I'm saying? I go over that. And that's how I come to a conclusion with who I think is going to win the fight. I don't always get them right. But, I have a pretty good percentage of fights that I get right. So, it's just the way that I do it. So, one thing I've always said about Canelo, and I'm talking about going all the way back to the Josecito Lopez fight, which I thought was a trash fight. I don't even think Josecito Lopez belonged in the ring with Canelo that night, but, it is what it is. I sent you the link, A-Rod, so as soon as I open it up, man, you can jump on. And anybody else for that matter that wants to. D-Styles here. What's up, bro? Appreciate you being here, man. But here's what I'm going to say. Has he improved? Yes, he's improved in just about every fight that I've seen him in. Little things. Early in his career, it was major things that I was noticing that he was improving on. Chicano Prophet, what's up, bro? The one thing that I've been saying this, and I've said it consistently, man, is that movement, good footwork gives this guy trouble. And this is another thing I've always said about Canelo is that he's got fast hands, yes, but he's got slow feet. His feet still very slow, even right now with all the improvements that he's made. Joe Lopez, what's up, bro? Says the Khan fight was worse. Yeah, it was worse than Josecito Lopez for sure. That's the one thing that I have not seen him do effectively yet. Is cut off the ring on a guy with some good movement. Have not seen that yet. Now, Billy Joe Saunders is a dude that has good movement, whether you like him or not. And see, this is the problem that I'm having with some fans right now. I'm having a problem with the fact that these guys, because I say he has trouble with movement, they get pissed off. They get mad. Oh, look what he's done. Look, I had somebody argue with me on Twitter right now talking about, oh, well, look what he did to Smith. I'm like, so what? What does that mean? Like, Smith fights nothing like Billy Joe Saunders. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. That's a horrible comparison. They try to bring up Triple G, and I'm like, oh, come on. Triple G does not move around the ring the way that a Billy Joe Saunders can move. Like, these are terrible comparisons. And they don't, and those fights don't prove to me that he can cut off the ring. It doesn't. I'm sorry. Anybody that thinks that based off of the Smith fight or Triple G fight, like, I'm sorry, but you're just dead wrong. Would you say he's a middleweight Andy Ruiz, great hand speed, especially in their respective weight classes? I mean, that's what I mean, I wouldn't call him the same as Andy Ruiz, but I do agree with what you said. Good hand speed and slow footwork for sure. Puerto Rican Rum, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. Hope you guys hit that like button for me, man. I would appreciate that. But those are horrible fights to use as a comparison to say that he's going to have no issue with movement from Billy Joe. And look, you guys can say what you want about Billy Joe not looking that great in his last couple fights. And you know what? I agree with you on that. He hasn't. But here's what I'm going to say, right? And this is an assumption. This is not me guaranteeing anything. This is an assumption because I'm not Billy Joe Saunders, but I would think going into the biggest fight of your career, which is this fight right now, he would understand that he has to come in and give this guy movement in order to have a chance to win. He can't stand there like he did in some spots against Murray. That just can't happen. He's going to have to fight the way that he fought against Lemieux. Now, I know you guys are like, well, Canelo's not Lemieux. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Canelo's Lemieux at all. What I'm saying is what Billy Joe did in that fight is what he's going to have to do in this fight to give himself a chance to win. And we know he can move. Like, there's just no, that's not even a debate. If you're trying to tell me, like, oh, he's not as good as Lara. Like, well, who said he's as good as Lara? Like, people jump to so many conclusions just because you say he can move, But speaking of Erislandy Lara, like, that was the last time he was in there with someone with some superior footwork and a southpaw. And he didn't look great in that fight. He looked terrible, in my opinion. I thought he lost that fight, clearly. You guys can think he won the fight. That's fine. I'm not trying to debate you on who won, but you have to admit the style gave that guy trouble because he couldn't cut off the ring. Andres says, the problem I see in Billy Joe Saunders is that he finds himself trapped against the ropes here and there and becomes a target. Plant is worse in that department. Yeah. Chris 47 says Danny Jacobs was the closest style to Saunders. I mean, here's my thing with the Daniel Jacobs fight. That was a clear cut to win for Canelo. Zero controversy there, none at all. Clearly won that fight. To me, Jacobs did. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, can he box? Yeah, but I don't think he's that good when it comes to moving around the ring. Like, there's ways you can get in and out without moving so much, like kind of like a Billy Joe can, or like Lara can. But I don't think Jacobs has that kind of style, man. I just don't. I seen a lot of toe-to-toe action in that fight with Jacobs and Canelo. You know what I'm saying? They were standing right there. Canelo made him miss a lot, made him pay. Good fight for Canelo. Really good fight for him. Toby, what's going on, man? Let's see, people in their comparisons. Oh, he's smart, but he's no Einstein, though. Or he can move, but he's no... Exactly. Like, they jump to these conclusions, man. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I've never said he's as good as Billy Joe or as good as Billy Joe's as good as Lara. No. But they are very similar in what they can do. They both can move. They're both southpaws. They're both counterpunchers. You dig what I'm saying? And let's just be honest. The style gives him trouble, and he hasn't been in with the style since. Like, I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand or not just understand, but just accept, because it is what it is. Saunders is good at spinning and moving around his opponent. He's also strong enough to clinch effectively. It's going to be a good. Exactly, man. Exactly. Like, really? Like, you're going to use the Smith fight? Like, oh, look, he just couldn't get away from Canelo. Like, this is what I was told. And this person might come on. I invited this person on, and they all of a sudden they said they had to work. And, okay, fine. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But you had a lot of time to tweet back and forth with me for about an hour, LT, what's up, man? Saludos, mi raza, HCP. That's right, baby. Hispanics cause a panic. But yeah, I invited this person on the show, and then all of a sudden I have to work. But we'll see if I can get him on. Like, I'm not into the whole back and forth typing shit. Like, that's why I got a channel for. You can come on and talk to me. I'm not gonna bite your head off. You guys see, I'm not disrespectful to my guests. Anyway, it just is what it is, man. Let's look at who he's fought since that fight, right? He fought James Kirkland, Miguel Cotto, who is a good boxer, but he doesn't move that way. Amir Khan, who can move that way, not as good as Lara, but did give Canelo trouble with the movement. Then he fought Liam Smith, Chavez Jr., Golovkin, Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs, Kovalev, Smith, and then Yildirim, and now he's fighting Saunders. Like, I want one of you guys to tell me which one of these guys has given Canelo movement. And I'm not asking you who can move or has the ability to move, but who gave him kind of movement that Billy Joe can give him. Which one of these guys did that I just named off? Kirkland, Cotto, Khan, Smith, Chavez Jr., Golovkin, Fielding, Jacobs, Kovalev, Smith, Yildirim. Which one of those guys did that? Like, I'm dying to know, man. Like, I feel like you guys are making a lot of assumptions. He says, good call, totally agree. Should be interesting to see how Canelo reacts and what Canelo's physical strength will look like against Billy Joe, who is strong. Yes. There's no rematch clause? Huh. Maybe he's thinking what I'm thinking. It might be a tough fight, I don't know. But I just, like, my thing is this. Not only am I seeing people on Twitter, but I was seeing people in chats here of videos that I've seen where they're saying, he's improved since then. Like, he'll be fine. Like, how can we just assume that? We can't just assume that he's gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna just assume that he's gonna cut the ring off effectively when I haven't seen him do it. I don't live in dream world, guys. I'm not gonna just admit that or just say that. It's a known fact that Canelo has good upper body movement, but slow feet. That's the reason why Demetrius Andrade is a bad matchup for him. Salute G-Funk. Hey, Andrade can give him trouble. He can. Just like I believe Billy Joe can. Right. None of those guys gave him movement. Not one of them. But I'm just supposed to sit here and assume that he can do that because he's improved in other areas? I've given him the credit for improving in the other areas, I think it's great what he's doing. But this is what I need to see. This is why I like this fight so much. Because I want to see him do that. I want to see him do that. You guys want to learn how to cut the ring off? Go watch guys like Chavez Jr. I mean, not Chavez Jr. I'm sorry. Terrible. Chavez Jr. is just in my head right now because I just read him on the box rec. But Chavez Sr. You know what I'm saying? Like Canelo, he can't. He hasn't shown the ability to do that. And I'm going to say right now, he can't cut off the ring effectively on guys because I haven't seen him do it yet. If you can prove me wrong in this fight, I'll say, hey, look, the footwork has improved. He can't cut off the ring on a guy that can move. Chris 47, this fight against Saunders will show us if he's really improved. That I'm saying. I know you guys are going to come at me for that. Chavez Sr., man. Chavez Sr., but I'm going to this is what I'm going to do. Or I'm going to show you guys some good. I don't want to show the whole fight because fucking YouTube, man, and their bullshit. Get a strike or anything like that, but let's just take a look at some of this. This is what I'm talking about here, man. I want to see. Now, look, here's the Lara fight, okay? Let's see. Okay, this is 2014 when this fight took place. Let's take a look from this fight, and I'm going to go to. I guess I can go to Amir Khan. When was the Khan fight, guys? You guys remember what year that was? When was that? That was 2 years later. After the Lara fight, 2 years later. That was the last time he fought a guy with good movement, Amir Khan. So between Lara and Khan, it was 2 years, and then now Khan that's 5 years now that he hasn't been in with a guy that can move. Now, this is the very beginning of the fight. So Lara might not be moving. Oh, Jesus Christ. Everything's got to have a fucking ad, huh? Hell out of here. But I mean, honestly, I watched the Khan fight right before I went live, and he's doing the exact same thing. He's just following around. Eats a left hand right there. Misses. Like, I mean, look, this is not effective cutting off the ring, guys. It's just not. And believe me, it gets a lot worse in this fight. I mean, Canelo missing so badly, he's hitting the ropes, falling into the ropes, while Lada's already on the other side of the ring. Like, look, he's just following around, getting hit, missing. Like, this is not cutting off the ring. Look, eats another left. Like I said, I don't want to show too many highlights because I don't want to get and you're absolutely wrong, Chicano Prophet. And you can come score that fight with me, man. But there's no way you can find 7 rounds to give to Canelo. I'm sorry. As I agree, the only thing that can frustrate Canelo is movement. Circling around him is the best. Yep. So far, that's what we know. Let's see. Can Canelo train with a Chavez Senior type to work on his? I think he should. I think he should at least reach out to him. You know what I'm saying? Got you. Billy Joe comes from a lineage of fighting men like Tyson Fury. They started fighting such boxers, little boys, 5'6". So don't think he's gonna turn up. Yeah, I agree. Could be wrong, but I agree. Yeah, and I haven't made a pick yet, an official pick. But I'm gonna show you the Khan fight now. And I wish I could show the whole fight because we could watch both fights here and not score them, but just look at how the movement gives him trouble. You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm going to show you guys the Khan fight, a little bit of the Khan fight. Because it looked very similar to me. Just following around, looking to land one big shot, but get hit, while his opponent's on the outside. Let's see, read a couple more comments here. So Lara made Canelo learn how to cut off the ring because he couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't do it, man. I agree. He made him look terrible in that fight. Terrible. I mean, he controlled the ring all night. Because he couldn't cut off the ring. Now let's look again. You guys tell me if this looks similar to the Lotta fight. Look again, just following around, not cutting off the ring, letting Khan move wherever he wants to move to. Boom, getting hit with shots. Right here, look, he has an opportunity to get him in the corner. Lets him roll out. Look, again, another opportunity. Lets him roll out. Like, guys like this, man, you got to turn the pressure up. Look, missing. You got to turn the pressure up right away on guys like this. Now, he ended up catching Khan because we all know Khan has a glass chin. But look, again, trying to hit from far away. Khan gets out of the way. Like, am I tripping, or does this look very similar to what we've seen against Lauda? Now, he's missing shots there, Khan. But where is he cutting off the ring? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but did that not look very similar to the very first round against Lauda? Like, I mean, it's that's something he's got to improve, man. Something he's got to improve. And I mean, I know what you mean, but if we go back and watch, a lot of those shots weren't landing and scoring. You know, they weren't scoring blows. He's landing a lot of low blows, a lot of punches on the back, which I understand. You know, like you want to try to slow the guy down any way you can, you know, but those punches don't count. Last time I checked. Khan was giving him a hard time. A man that went up 2 weight classes to fight a bigger Canelo. That's something. Yeah. I've been telling people that Charlo would be easier. Yes, I agree too. I agree too. Well, I mean, I think he won, man. I mean, I think it's a pretty clear win to me, you know. But let's go back. Let's look at Smith. All right, since this person brought up Caleb's, look what he did to Smith. Oh my God, look what he did to Smith. You know, Smith gives 0 fucking angles. That's a horrible comparison. Horrible. Let me get it. Let's go up. All right, look. Look at Smith being aggressive here in round 1, but I mean, I think we all can agree he fights nothing like Billy Joe Saunders or Erislandy Lara or Amir Khan. And I said this going into my prediction video, like this guy brings nothing to the table to give Canelo any trouble. He's just straight in and out a lot of the time. Easily backed into the ropes. Look, just like we're seeing right now. Easily backed into the ropes. Like the Ryder did the same thing. So I mean, the styles are not the same. Like it's just not even close, you know? Yeah, Smith did look like a giant next to him. He did. But I mean, I don't know why anybody would use Smith to say, yeah, look what he did to Smith, you know? Like I'm sorry, man, but that's just not what I'm seeing here, man. And I think anybody with any good set of boxing eyes can agree, you know? But here's the last thing I'm going to show before I open it up to anybody that wants to join. I'm going to show you Saunders against Lemieux. And that was, I think, 2017 that fight took place. But let's just look here, man. I mean, look at him getting out the way, circling. Like if this Billy Joe shows up with this kind of movement, look at that. Making a miss, getting out the way. Look. Like if this Saunders moves around the ring against Canelo, like, you gonna tell me that's not gonna give him trouble? And you're gonna sit here and tell me that fucking Smith and Triple G fight like this? Like, stop being emotional, you know? Look at that. That's great movement, great angles. Look, he pivots out of the corner, made a miss, gets out of the way. Look, keeping his distance. Like, if this Saunders shows up, it's gonna be a tough fight for Canelo. I'm not just gonna assume that he's improved just so much just because it's been a long time ago. You know, like, I heard the same thing with Burchelt when I was showing him getting his ass knocked the fuck out by that dude. Everybody kept telling me how he's so much more improved now, but I hadn't seen it. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't seen it. That's why I didn't believe it. Hey Rod, if you're still there, bro, if you want to jump on now, you can jump on, man. If you want to talk with me, or anybody else want to email me, let me put my email up. I got a little bit of time to talk with some of you guys. But I think I've made my point pretty clear. I mean, Jacobs can move. Like, I'm not saying he can't move, but he didn't move in the actual fight. You know, he stood toe to toe a lot with Canelo. Yeah, Smith is tailor made for him. And you're right. He can move, but he can't do things like that. You know, so he didn't even have a good job, at least in that fight. Southpaw too, absolutely. Don't start getting emotional on me now, bro. All right, they're giving Canelo trouble and beating him are two different things. Like, I'm not saying he's gonna beat him. What I'm saying is that the fight can get difficult, is what I'm saying, and I'm not gonna just assume that he can just cut off the ring and knock him out. But actually get that shit. What's going on, bro?
What is up? I've been waiting for you to bring up this subject. I mentioned on my video on Monday too how I think that Canelo's also going to bring problems to Billy Joe because of
Mhm.
level of opposition that he's been in. People that once he likes to go in there, when he doesn't move around, he does like to trade off sometimes. If the upper body movement and Canelo just doesn't sit there and just avoid punches, he also backs up too. From what we've seen in the Jacob and Smith fight,
Mhm.
he tries to move around himself. So the actual movement around the body that Saunders is gonna bring, it might not work. You know what I mean? So it's just up to telling Lissy who shows up, what type of Saunders shows up. Somebody that is there to get a paycheck, or is somebody that is willing to give Canelo a loss. I mean,
And you know what? That's a good point too, because I mentioned that earlier in the live where I said, Milcar, I sent you the link, bro. I'm gonna send you one right now, Chicano. Yeah, I said that earlier in the show that, you know, Saunders has looked flat his last couple of times. So if that Saunders shows up, he's getting knocked the fuck out. But I
yeah,
think
and
that
then
I think that he's gonna get up for this fight. He has to. This is the fight of his life. You know.
yeah, that's something that's gonna have to be up to him to show up what kind of feet. If he's a little bit heavier than the way he was in that fight that you showed him, it's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen because as it is, I don't see his feet being as fast as a Floyd or a Khan or a Lara. As those guys are way smaller than them. You know what I mean? But let's see what he does with the feints, because those aren't gonna kill him. Where Canelo always feints to the body and catches up on top, but it sets you up by giving you body shots at the same time, and then all of a sudden he feints and hits you on top. Let's see how he does to those type of feints that Canelo brings to the fight. It's gonna be a tough fight. Hopefully not a boring fight like people anticipate with boxers, but let's hope for a good fight that Canelo's able to cut off the ring to be able to make him trade off with them.
Yeah, I'm hoping he can, man, because that's the last piece of the puzzle that I want to see him improve on. You know, and I want to address this comment here from Joseph Torres. This boxing style doesn't impress it. That shouldn't even matter what impresses the judges. They should just score the fight based off the criteria. If a guy decides to go in and move around the ring and the other guy can't stop him, then guess what? He's the ring general. At the end of the day, like there's no argument with that. You know?
One thing that Canelo also improved in, he don't waste punches. He's like 95% accurate with his punches. I mean, that where he throws, he's most likely going to land. And the hand speed is going to be a little problem for Santos roster.
Let's see. Round one says, but look who he's doing that to. I can do that stuff to some lame as well. Lets him do that. See, and I addressed this earlier. I addressed the same thing earlier.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to do this to Canelo. If he comes in with some good movement, it's going to give him trouble. You know, it's going to. Sorry, man. I know you guys don't like to hear it, but you know, he hasn't done it yet. Again, you guys tell me who he's done that to, who he's been able to cut off the ring on effectively. Like, I'm just dying to know who this guy is, you know, that I missed apparently. What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
What's
I'm good,
up?
bro. How are you?
What's going on, Maestro and Chicano?
All
I'm
good, man.
I'm good, baby. Just want to chop it up a little bit about the good matchup, man, that I think we got here with Saunders and Canelo, man. So go ahead, Chicanos. Your turn to speak, brother.
All right, brother. Well, hey, you know, I'm a little triggered. What can I say? You've been pissing me off since you started this thing.
Oh, I know, man.
You know, I think a lot of us agree, dude. This is a really good fight. I've been looking forward to this fight. And you're right. Movement does give Canelo trouble. But I think that there's a lot of very good middleweights and super middleweights who couldn't cut off the ring on Allura and have been very successful. Good foot movement gives a lot of people trouble. I mean, it's just something that is a great asset for anybody who's in the ring. I do think that Canelo does dictate pace and has a lot of ring generalship. So I think that no matter what, even if Billy Joe is on his bike, eventually they're going to have to get in range of each other. And if they're in range of each other, I see Canelo ultimately dominating those spots and pulling off the victory.
So I heard you say he's going to have to get off the bike. My question to you would be, well, Canelo has to make him. If he's going to get on the bike, right? Let's just say he gets on the bike for this one, which I think he will. And I think he understands he has to in order to give himself a chance to win. But he's got to make him get off the bike, you know? I don't think he's just going to stop, because I think he understands if he stands there, it could be good night for him, you know?
Well, no, I hear you there, but he can stay on his bike, but ultimately he has to stop and exchange with Canelo eventually. Billy Joe has to get off what he has to get off at some point. And then once they're in range, Canelo's very dynamic. He's also slick, like Billy Joe Saunders. He knows angles. He knows he has great timing, and he has power. And in those exchanges, I see Canelo dominating eventually in the long run. And so that's what I have to say about the fight. Like, I do think that you make a lot of good points, and that's why a lot of us agree that this is a good fight. And if Canelo has to chase Billy Joe Saunders down, and you know Billy Joe wants to stink up the joint, that would help him improve his odds. But I don't think it'll help him win the fight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, executing a game plan and winning a fight are definitely two different things, you know, because we've seen guys execute game plans against them and they haven't got the win. Round one says Jacobs was too overweight to move. I mean, that could be a truth too, because I know he didn't even step on the scale the day of the fight. Jacobs was like, fuck it, I'm here to win this thing. I ain't trying to make no IBF limit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, Boxing Historian, I sent you a link to your email, bro, so you can jump on. Let's see. I knew this guy was coming. Bro, I guess you haven't been watching my videos to ask that question, you know? I'm just saying, look, I need to see him cut off the ring. Gangsta Playground, what's up, man? So that's what's going on. I got a couple more guys coming in. Milk Car,
Yo, I'm
Big
back.
Brian. What's up, guys?
I'm good. I'm good, G Funky. Great topic.
Hold on, guys.
Thanks for getting us started on this one.
Mm-hmm. So
Konnichiwa, how you guys
Hey, what's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
What's up?
So Amilcar, I want you to go ahead and chime in, man.
Well, look, the prototypical opponent that Billy Joe has success against is a guy who, sorry, not Billy Joe, that Canelo has success against, is a guy who tries to establish himself in the center of the ring, squares up, doesn't move or circle his opponent. Just look at Yildirim and even look at the way Callum Smith started the fight. Callum Smith going into that fight literally believed that because he was, quote unquote, the bigger, stronger guy, that he'd be able to control center ring and stand up to Canelo. And that just didn't happen. And then what ended up happening was this. He started retreating backwards until he ended up with his back against the ropes. Canelo did not have to cut off the ring. And at that point, Canelo was essentially able just to, boss him around and just wail on him at will. Also, obviously, Canelo did do things like use his head movement and his feinting, obviously, which I'm a huge, huge fan of. Billy Joe's not going to do any of that. G Funky, I think you've identified a serious problem for Canelo in this fight, which is that Billy Joe is going to be circling constantly. He's not the type of fighter, if you've noticed in his fights, that just sits on the ropes when he doesn't have to and allow guys to go to work. When an in shape, ready Billy Joe shows up, it's a guy with legs, a guy who's physically strong on the inside, but also a guy that really doesn't give a fuck about the fans and if they're excited by what's going on or not. He circles his opponents, he gives them angles, he pot shots, and then he takes 2 or 3 steps off and then attacks again. It's a very difficult style for anyone. And obviously, I think that Billy Joe is going to be motivated for this fight. And I'm with you. I don't necessarily think right now, or nor am I saying that he's going to win, but it's going to be Canelo's toughest test in a while. And I would definitely, stand up for that statement. Like, it's not going to be an easy fight.
I agree 100%, man. I think, again, I just have not seen the opponent since Amir Khan to move and constantly move, and he hasn't been able to stop a guy who's been able to move like that. Just haven't seen it, Joe Lopez asked a question here. Does Billy Joe beat Triple G? I think he does. I think he always beats him. I think it's a nightmare style for Triple G.
I think Triple G thinks it. I think Triple G thinks it. I mean, Triple G. I remember once they asked him, like, "Yo, when you fight in Billy Joe, you say you want a belt," and this was after he dropped the title, the IBF title, because he didn't want to fight Deverenchenko, and Billy Joe had the WBO version of it, and he literally just laughed. He's like, "I'm not even talking about that guy. Come on, serious." It was like, he's like, "Come on, serious question. I'm like, bro, that was a serious question.
Yeah, I'm going to read this comment from Gangster Flair. It says, Canelo cut off the ring very well versus Triple G2. Well, the narrative was Mexican style, forcing Canelo to come forward. But, I mean, Triple G's not a mover like that. That's where I would disagree with. Like, he's just not, like Billy Joe, Go ahead, Brian. You can go ahead and speak on this.
Oh, yeah. Well, Triple G ain't got no skills at all, man, to be honest with you, outside of his body punching. But here's the thing, and I've been high on Billy Joe for about 4 years now. And I really think, and I've been saying this to whoever, like, I believe Billy Joe has the best jab in the division. And I believe he has the best footwork and the best boxing ability from a purist boxing standpoint. That style of jab, combination punching, angles, footwork, being able to circle and move, that type of style. I think he's the best pure boxer in that division. Now, as far as Canelo Alvarez, and I think you're bringing up a lot of good points, G Funky and everybody that's on the panel, about Canelo's inept ability to cut off the ring. And, me personally, I thought he got a gift decision against Lara. And Lara, I think, is the most primest example from what I've seen of somebody actually utilizing that, utilizing the ring and utilizing the center of the ring to their advantage against Canelo. And Amir Khan, I think that was a good fight to bring up, because that did bring up a point, even though we know that Canelo Alvarez knew he was going to knock him out anyways. But Amir Khan showed that ability to move, because that's what he does. Jab, 1-2 combination. Side step, move out the way. But the difference between those guys and Billy Joe is that Billy Joe can fight in the pocket a little bit. Billy Joe does have a very good chin. And the thing about Canelo, and it's always, it always kind of fascinated me watching Canelo Alvarez, is that he's a good puncher. He has a good left hook, but he's not a great puncher. He's not a devastating one-punch knockout guy. He's capable. He's very capable of finishing fights, but I don't think if he's going up against a guy with a good chin that he has the ability to knock that guy out. And like we've seen in the past, and I think the one weakness that the man has, I mean, he has all the tools in the tool shed, but his footwork, in terms of his ability to move, although in certain instances underrated, at the same time it can be exploited by the right boxer, by somebody that has a jab, such as a Billy Joe, in the guy that has the footwork and angle, such as Billy Joe Saunders. And I believe that Billy Joe, I'm tempted. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make my prediction now. I am very tempted, because I've been very high, very, very high on Billy Joe. And I'm not no British fan. I'm not a fan of British boxing. All right. I think a lot of them are bums personally, but Billy Joe is definitely one guy that sticks out to me. And I think he can pull off the upset on Canelo. Now, I'm more 50-45 right now with him and Canelo right now. So, I think that Canelo is going to be in for the fight of his career right now, or at least up to this point, for that matter.
I think you made some good points, man. I really do. Let me look at some of the comments here. Go back up before I open it up for you guys to see. Ramon says, my point was, you put up a video of Saunders dancing around a nobody. You can go back to Canelo's old fights against nobodies where he's doing the same thing. I still think it'll be a good. I mean, that was the best I seen Billy Joe utilize the ring, was against Lemieux. And Lemieux was putting a lot of pressure, but he just couldn't cut the ring. He just couldn't do it. And I'm not saying that Canelo can't, because, again, I have seen him improve, but that's the one thing I haven't seen him do yet effectively, is stop a guy from moving when he wants to move. You know what I'm saying? And if he can do that, then wow, he's going to be pretty tough to beat. He's already pretty tough to beat right now, but it's going to be really hard if he can stop a guy with some good movement. Cut him off, trap him, do whatever it is that you got to do to stop him, and get the job done. You guys give me 1 second. You guys can go ahead and talk amongst yourself. I got to take care of something real quick, less than 30 seconds, but you guys go ahead and talk amongst yourself real quick.
Well, I just want to say that I agree with everything that you all are saying. Like, that's what makes this such a good fight. I think that if Canelo does beat Billy Joe Saunders, it's all downhill from here as far as Canelo going undisputed at 168. I see him taking on Caleb Plant and it being a much easier fight for him. So this is the fight he needs to focus on. We should be excited about this fight.
Yeah, sorry, I just need to
unmute myself.
You're absolutely right, Chicano. This is going to be his more difficult fight. I don't think Caleb Plant is going to be able to challenge Canelo the way that Billy Joe is. Mostly, again, because Billy Joe, I don't see doing what I see Plant doing against Canelo, which is, again, winning that kind of battle for center space. I don't even think Billy Joe's going to try to win that battle for center space. To me, it's almost like a psychological thing that leads to just a breakdown of these Canelo opponents. They think that for whatever reason that they're going to be able to stand there in the middle of the ring and trade with them. And then once they're unable to, for whatever reason, usually it's because of his attack to the head and to the body, and also his ability to jab even bigger guys, they just start to backpedal from that point and then Canelo just, eats them up almost like Pac-Man. So, yeah, Billy Joe's not going to be playing that game. Billy Joe doesn't mind being on his bicycle for all 12 rounds. He's shown us that.
He doesn't.
And that is gonna be problematic for a guy whose biggest weakness right now in his entire game is his foot speed. Now they've tried to compensate for that again with adding the bobbing and weaving, adding the feinting. I mean, Reynoso has done fantastic with him. If you look at early Canelo to now, but that's something that they obviously have not been able to improve because it's biological. At the end of the day, it's a short, stocky guy. He's just not going to be quick-footed like that, and he's just naturally slower with his feet.
I agree. I think that he understands. Like, here's the thing: if we see it, they see it. They have to see it. They have to know that the movement gives them trouble. And look, I want to address this comment Fernando Mesa. Look, I'm not going to turn this into a debate who won that fight. Okay, I've been very consistent for the last 6 years or so that fight happened. That Lara won that fight. Now, if you want to set up something else, we could talk about it another time. But this is about Billy Joe Saunders. Now, I used Lara because that was one of the rare times that he's been in with a guy with movement. So it is what it is. Chicano, whoever hasn't gone yet, go ahead and go.
Well, real quick, I just want to say something about one of the fights that happened. Oh, A-Rod, you want to go ahead?
I'll go for it. I'm doing something real quick. I'll jump back on.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. There was another fight that some people can question the decision. I would give Canelo that fight, and that was the Austin Trout fight. Now,
another one
that with Canelo against Austin Trout, that was a close fight. But any time a man admits that the other man won, like, he deserved to lose the fight. So I'll give Canelo that fight. But Trout did give him a tough go around. Only thing about Trout is that he, unlike Lara, he was, and maybe it's because of the Cuban style of boxing that had versus Trout. Trout just whatever it was, he was just backpedaling the whole time. Lara was looking for more of a couple counter windows to open up and whatnot. Trout gave him issues. I won't go back to the Floyd Mayweather fight so much because the Floyd Mayweather fight, I think that was around the time when Canelo started developing an identity as a fighter. And I thought that fight really did help him down the road to becoming the type of fighter that he is today. But I guess you could use that as an example, but me personally, I wouldn't. But yeah, he does have difficulties against those type of guys. I mean, who's he fought in the last couple of fights? I mean, Smith is a slow ass middleweight. You know what I'm saying? That dude, when he be boxing, it looked like he's in quicksand. What's his name? Kovalev's not fleet of foot. Okay. And of course, certain people question if that was a rigged fight or not, but I'm not going to go there for right now. But he's not fleet of foot. Triple G is not fleet of foot by any means.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, Rocky Fielding, he's a nobody. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the guys that with that particular style that we've seen of noteworthy, even with a guy like Amir Khan, who we knew was going to get knocked out because he has no chin, still gave him a tough time in terms of at least boxing. From a boxing standpoint, we knew who the best boxer was in those first 5 or 6 rounds, before he got stopped. But he presented a particular issue that Canelo has shown in the past, and that's and like I think Trigger Canelo fan said, if I'm not mistaken, it was him that said that this is what makes these arguments or debates or commentary so special, because we get to see, and break down who who really is, or who's the best opponent available for the top dudes like a Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? So, that's my thoughts on that particular point.
Good stuff there, man. Good stuff. I'm going to read some more comments, and then we'll pass it around one more time. Look, 92 Aku, man, if you want to come on and explain to me how he's improved on cutting off the ring, I would love to hear it. I know he's improved on other things, and I'm not saying he's the same fighter that he was back then, but I want to know when he cut off the ring on somebody. That's what I really want to know. And this could be a good point, too. Saunders won't get the decision if he fights as negatively as Lara. I don't think Lara fight negatively, but we know he's gotten decisions that he shouldn't have gotten. This Canelo needs to hire Apollo Creed so he can look like Rocky 3. That's hilarious. Boxing Dialogue says, I thought Trout and Lara were draws. I think I actually did score that Trout fight a draw, but it's been a while since I watched it. What really ruined that fight for me was the open scoring, man. Like, I can't believe that they had that shit there, man. That was ridiculous. See, I agree. Canelo and Billy Joe is going to be a great fight. In my opinion, Billy Joe studying how to beat Canelo for years now, and I think he could surprise people. He certainly know. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I think that he can definitely surprise some people. This is a great comment right here from Andres Rodriguez. The best in cutting the ring off are fighters who have lots of experience in fighting good footwork fighters, or those who pose good footwork themselves. Exactly. And he just hasn't been in with guys with good footwork in a long time like that. Triple G's got good footwork as far as his balance and the way that he's able to draw power from his legs and stuff like that, but he just doesn't move that way. You know what I'm saying? And look, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to turn this into a Canelo versus Lara debate. I'm just not. But we could talk about that fight anytime. Like I strongly believe that Lara won that fight, Chicano, anything you want to say, bro?
Yeah, man. I just want to say that, of course, Billy Joe Saunders has tremendous foot movement. We all know this. And you can bet Canelo knows this, and you can bet Eddie Reynoso knows this. And they're both some of the absolute best at what they do. And Canelo has wanted this fight for years. We know about the multiple offers that they've given to Billy Joe Saunders. They're going to be prepared. And so they're going to have their own game plan. And G-Funky, if and when you pick Canelo to beat Billy Joe Saunders, you are going to explain to us how Canelo's going to be able to deal with that foot movement. Thank you for having me on. Peace out, guys.
Anytime, bro. And you know me, man. I always do my prediction. I always break down each fighter, man. And I'm honestly, I still haven't really decided who I think is going to win this fight yet, man. Because I think if that Saunders shows up, it's going to be a tough night for Canelo. It just, just the way that I'm looking at it. Maestro, go ahead and give your thoughts, bro.
We've been hearing a lot about footwork and foot movement, and the reason that Canelo hasn't fought a lot of guys that we consider to have good footwork or good foot movement is because there aren't a lot of guys in boxing that have elite footwork and foot movement. We're not talking about running around the ring and just being on your bicycle. Billy Joe can definitely do that, but I'll put an analogy up onto the floor, right? My favorite basketball player when I was a little kid in elementary school was Akeem Olajuwon. Akeem Olajuwon wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the strongest, but he destroyed centers, whether it was David Robinson, whether it was young Shaquille O'Neal, whether it was Patrick Ewing. I could go on and on. It was because of his footwork. We're talking about the ability to do an inside pivot, an outside pivot, to move at angles. Right? Small, little, subtle things. We're talking about footwork that's so high level that you can take a half step back and make a guy miss so wide that you think you were halfway around the ring, which is what happened to him in Lemieux. This is what Billy Joe is elite at. Okay? It is his footwork. And we've heard a lot on this panel so far about the Cubans and Lara. Lara had it too, because in the Cuban system, they spend the first month of training these little kids on footwork, just like they would with kids in dancing or in ballet or whatever, with salsa steps or you name it. Like, footwork is the cornerstone. It is the bedrock. It is the foundation of Cuban boxing. And last thing I'm going to say, and I don't like to bring race and ethnicity and all of these things into the equation, but I often do. And it's because, I had a friend of mine on my own channel recently essentially, call in another gypsy fighter. This is a white guy. Okay, yes, he looks like a white guy. He is from England. But anyone who knows anything about Europe knows that gypsies are an oppressed minority. And in the case of England, this is an oppressed minority on the lowest of the low social economic ladders that has really embraced fighting and fighting sports and has done so for hundreds of years. Billy Joe, Tyson Fury, one thing they have in common with Cubans is that they have been fighting since they were little kids. It's why Billy Joe looks so smooth in the ring. So the question for me, first and foremost, with Billy Joe coming into this fight is not can he utilize his footwork? It's will he train? Will he be up for this fight? As long as he does that, which I think he will, it is going to be a great fight. And this is why I've been looking forward to this fight pretty much more than I've been looking forward to any of the recent Canelo fights.
I agree with you, man. I think it's going to be good. And I love the Akeem Olajuwon comparison, man, because like you said, he wasn't the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. But man, that dude's footwork was like just unbelievable, man. He was able to. That's why they called it the Dream Shake, man. Like you just couldn't stay in front of that dude, Gangster's Playground says Canelo could stop Billy Joe with power shots to the body like Castillo, Floyd won. Dude, if he fights him that way and looks that way to him, then that would be impressive. That would be very impressive. If he could do something like that, let's see. Saunders is weak mentally. He will collapse. I mean, that's a big assumption, man. Look, here's what I'll say with the Lemieux fight. And here's the reason why I keep bringing up the Lemieux fight, because I feel like we can compare the power or even give a slight edge to Lemieux in power over Canelo as far as just strictly punching power alone, And he understood that he couldn't stand there. He understood he couldn't stand there in front of Lemieux because he could get his ass knocked the fuck out with one punch. So he moved on his toes on ice. Look, you're going to catch me with something. You're going to have to make me stand here or force me to stand here and do it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Rod, I know you've been in and out, man, but give me your final thoughts, man, because we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry about that. People have been giving me calls, so it drops me off.
It's all good, man.
But I think what Canelo's gonna have to practice on is that same punch that he caught Khan with, where he slipped the jab and hit with the right at the same time, and it's gonna be easy against the left-hander on landing that punch, especially if Saunders is going to come in on his back foot all the time. As soon as he comes in with that jab, slip it and throw that right at him. And even though Billy Joe kind of likes to do a shoulder roll, he still gets tagged in the forehead or in the nose. So I think that Canelo's going to be really prepared and steady Saunders. He wouldn't have taken this fight if he didn't believe that he's going to be able to have a chance of beating him.
Yeah, you're right. I think he thinks he's very confident right now in what he's able to do. He's in his prime, and he's looking fantastic, man. So yeah, he's coming in very confident. And is there a chance that you could catch him with something, hurt him? Yeah, there's a real good chance at that. My only question is will he be able to trap him if he's in there moving like we know he can move? Now, 92 AKU. I know you like to troll sometimes. It's like, what does this mean? Don't delete this video, bro. You know I don't delete videos. and again, this is the problem that I'm having. When I say that he could give him trouble with the movement, like, oh man, what is it? Oh, this and that, and he's gonna beat his ass. Like, bro, all I'm saying is, look, the movement's gonna give him some trouble. That's it. I still haven't even picked a winner yet. Like, I just want to see him do it. And if he can do it effectively, man, he's gonna be he's like I said, he's already tough to beat right now. But if he's improved that much on his footwork to stop a guy from moving, it's gonna be that much harder to beat this guy. He might not ever lose a fight again, Chicano, anything you want to say before I wrap it up, man?
No, man, not too much. I appreciate you having me on. I hope that you do pick Canelo, but if you pick Billy Joe Saunders, it's been a long time since you picked against him. And if we have to go against each other, man, I'm going to enjoy the ride. I know that you'll enjoy it, so that's going to go two ways, baby.
If he bets against him, a pie to the face bet.
You guys know I'm not afraid to drop something on the line, a little wager, but I'm gonna do like I always do, man. I'm gonna study the film and give my prediction from there. And like I said, I'm sensing the same thing that I'm sensing from the Burchelt fight. A lot of guys are
Yeah.
just assuming that he's just gonna do it without actually seeing him do it. Maestro, go ahead, give your final thoughts, man.
I was just gonna say, G Funky, you got cojones, and I respect that. And it's high time that we all really sit down and analyze things. And I think all of us here pretty much do. But there's a lot of groupthink on YouTube. There's a lot of groupthink on YouTube. People, just go with whatever the majority says. And it was easy to go with Burchell. That was the easy pick. My man G Funky didn't do it. And honestly, there are all kind of people calling Billy Joe a Euro bum and Billy Joe this, Billy Joe that. The easy thing to do for G Funky or for anyone here right now would be to just go with Canelo. I think all G Funky's saying, and I definitely agree with it, is that before we stamp our seals of approval on a guy to win a fight, like, let's look at this. Let's ask these questions. And I respect that, G. So thank you very much for having me on.
Anytime, man. And you and everybody in the chat, any of you guys are always welcome to come on here and talk boxing with me, man. As long as we keep it boxing, we can have a little back and forth, but let's not take it to another extreme, but boxing historian, give me your final thoughts, man, before I wrap this one up. And, I might continue this conversation Wednesday on Uncensored, man, because I think it's a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Hell yeah. Yeah, my comments are, man, if nothing else, watch the fight. It's gonna be hell entertaining, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion. And it's gonna be to me, I think it's gonna be a chess match, man, to be honest with you. Because there's people that think that Canelo's gonna be a walk in the park, and like y'all was talking about with Billy Joe about the whole stigma of the Euro bum, which I think half of that is true. But then you have guys like Billy Joe, and then you have guys like Tyson Fury in today's boxing realm who display excellent boxing skills. All right. And like Maestro was saying, like, there's not too many guys in the game. And I'm gonna say this going back 20 years. Or at least 15 years, since 2007, there hasn't been really that many guys display great footwork in boxing. And the thing is, the fact that you have a guy like a Billy Joe who is an opponent like that, it should make for a great matchup for Canelo Alvarez. Now, whoever wins, good, but I think this is a good step in the right direction for boxing. We need to make more title unification matches of the top elite fighters going head to head. All in all, and I believe that this is going to only be an upside for boxing either which way it goes, whether it be for the Mexican fans, whether it be for the UK fans, whether it be for the fans all around the world in the United States. If you're a boxing fan, you will watch Canelo Alvarez versus Billy Joe Saunders. So that's my 2 cents on that, and we'll see who wins.
Absolutely, man. At the end of the day, these are just hypotheses from all of us, educated guesses, and we'll see what happens. But I do think it's going to be a fantastic match, and as much as we all like the brawls and the toe-to-toe action that we get from time to time in boxing, I love it when guys have to think and have to execute a game plan and have to come up with a strategy and execute that strategy during the fight, make adjustments during the fight, watch them think and things like that. I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I really do. And here's the last thing I'm going to say to you, 92 AKU. This is a mismatch. Okay, if you believe that, that's fine, man. That's fine. But I'm going to have to tell you this. You can't come on here and brag about how much he's improved and all this and that, because it's a mismatch in your opinion. Billy Joe Saunders ain't shit to you. So it's just going to be a walk in the park. So you should treat it that way if he beats him. You're going to have to treat it that way. I'm saying if he beats him the way that I think he can, and he's going to have to cut off the ring, he's going to get major, major props for me because I haven't seen him do it. You know? That's what I'm going to say. You guys saying that Billy Joe ain't shit and that he's a bum and that he's weak and all that, then you can't be celebrating after the fight then. You know? Because Billy ain't shit to you. I mean, I don't understand that way of thinking, you know? But I want to thank everyone that came on here, man. I know, A-Rod, you're working, bro. I appreciate you. All the guys here in the panel, all the guys in the chat, I thank you guys so much for joining me. I got to wrap this thing up because I got to roll. Man, I've been really, really busy the past week or so, and I still continue to be busy. But I will be live Wednesday for Uncensored, and we can continue this conversation then for Uncensored, man.
Let me mention something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
On the Berchel Valdez, I know I mentioned it in your channel on the chat, but I picked Berchel to get knocked out because he resembles Mayorga.
I remember you did say that, bro. You're like, he resembles Mayorga. That was beautiful, but you're right, man. You're right. But again, man, thank all you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm going to wrap this thing up, though, and I will see you guys, if not earlier, definitely Wednesday on Uncensored, man, and we can continue this conversation. So for the rest of the guys, this is G Funk, and we're out. See you on the next one.
Peace out.